Hello, today we will recap a motivational thriller movie, in which a loser learns a special skill and kills the karate black belt master with one finger. Before we start, please subscribe to our channel for free because we'll upload new videos regularly. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and enjoy. The film tells the story of Casey Davis, a slim and nerdy guy who works as an accountant. His colleagues aren't fond of him due to his social awkwardness, and his job requires him to keep an eye on their spending. Casey resides alone with his dog, Doxton. One evening, Casey notices that his dog is out of food, prompting him to go to the store to buy some. On his way, two guys on a motorcycle approach him. One of them inquires if Casey has a gun. Later, as Casey walks home with groceries, the men on the motorcycle, along with a few others, confront him again. Fearing for his safety, Casey attempts to escape, but they catch him, beat him unconscious, and steal from him. A few days later, Casey wakes up in the hospital. Checking his voicemails, he finds that only his boss, Grant, has asked about his well-being. Grant suggests taking all the time off he needs. Feeling unsafe after the incident, Casey becomes fearful and, influenced by a gangster movie, decides to buy a gun. He visits a gun store to buy a handgun but learns about the background check and waiting period. On his way home, he discovers a karate dojo and decides to check it out instead. Casey walks into the karate dojo and watches sensei guiding the students. After the class, he talks to sensei and shows interest in joining. Sensei invites him to a free trial class the following day to see if he enjoys it. When inquired about his motivation to join, Casey invents a story about aiming to enhance his fitness and maintain good health. As he prepares to leave, he meets Anna, the only female member and a brown belt responsible for teaching children. Anna seems unfriendly and reprimands Casey for wearing shoes on the mat. Casey commences his training at the dojo as a white belt and encounters Henry, a friendly fellow aspiring for a higher belt rank. In the initial lessons, Casey begins learning techniques like punching with his feet. In a sparring session with another student named Kenneth, Casey initially gets knocked off his feet but successfully lands a few good punches and kicks. As the promotion ceremony approaches, Casey's skills significantly improve. Henry shares with Casey that he overheard Sensei talking to someone and believes he's going to be promoted to a black belt. Before elevating his students, Sensei shares the story of the dojo's late grandmaster, who met a tragic end due to gunfire. Sensei strongly holds the belief that individuals resorting to firearms display weakness. Sensei also discloses an exclusive technique known only to the late grandmaster, involving a lethal strike by pushing the index finger through an opponent's skull. Recognizing Casey's advancements, Sensei grants him a promotion to a yellow belt. Yet, Sensei doesn't elevate Henry, opting to bestow a black belt upon another dojo member, Thomas. It surfaces that Sensei provides specialized training to higher-ranking members during a night class. Post-promotion, Casey begins to exhibit increased self-confidence. Nevertheless, during a grocery shopping trip, Casey faces off with a thug who intimidates him and disrupts his groceries. Deeply affected, Casey drives home in tears. This encounter significantly undermines his self-assurance, causing him to doubt whether he genuinely merits his yellow belt. Sensei, perceiving Casey's internal turmoil, extends an invitation to his office, urging him to share his feelings. Casey eventually discloses the incident with the thug and the real motivation behind joining the karate class. He acknowledges his fear of larger men and aspires to become someone capable of standing up to them. Sensei provides reassurance to Casey, affirming that choosing karate is a wise decision. However, he underscores the significance of mental development in the journey of self-improvement. As a unique suggestion, Sensei recommends Casey to listen to metal music instead of adult contemporary music. Sensei extends his guidance to Casey, suggesting that he should opt for German instead of French because he perceives Germany as stronger and more capable. Additionally, Sensei advises Casey to infuse masculinity into all aspects of his life, including his diet and interactions with others. He also invites Casey to explore the night classes offered at the dojo. Casey chooses to follow Sensei's advice and initiates substantial changes in his life. When Grant contacts Casey, requesting his return to work after 2 months, Casey returns with a more assertive demeanor, though it's perceived as arrogance by others at the workplace. Following Grant's invitation to dinner, Casey unexpectedly strikes Grant in the throat, asserting that a boss can't be friends with subordinates. Later, in the break room, Casey boasts about this assertive move, even ridiculing his colleagues. Surprisingly, he succeeds in winning them over and gaining their support. Casey loses his job, but he remains dedicated to Sensei's teachings. He decides to stop petting his dog, thinking it will make the dog stronger. Casey begins attending the night class and unexpectedly runs into Henry, who feels betrayed that Casey didn't inform him about joining. In the class, Sensei invites Henry for a demonstration and intentionally breaks Henry's arm at the elbow. Sensei criticizes Henry for attending the class without an invitation and ultimately expels him from the dojo. Sensei contacts Casey one night and reveals that he's found one of the bikers who assaulted him. They meet at a bar, where Sensei instructs Casey to confront the man. Following the intoxicated man, who seems headed towards a motorcycle, to a parking garage, Casey strikes him in the stomach. This causes the man to fall, injuring his head and resulting in bleeding. In a surprising turn of events, Sensei appears and starts recording the incident for an unknown reason. Casey realizes that the man was riding a regular bicycle, not a motorcycle, exposing Sensei's lie about the man's identity. Casey comes home in shock, discovering his dog lying unconscious on the floor. He hurriedly takes his dog to the hospital, where the doctor sadly informs Casey that the dog has died, likely from a kick to the ribs. The strange part is that there's blood on the dog's teeth, suggesting that he bit whoever attacked him. Casey, convinced that Sensei is responsible for his dog's death, returns to the dojo. In an attempt to provoke Sensei, he deliberately breaks all the rules, including eating, drinking, and wearing shoes on the mat. When Sensei arrives, Casey accuses him of killing his dog. Sensei denies any involvement, but Casey remains certain that Sensei is responsible. Despite threatening to leave the dojo, Sensei blackmails him with the footage, forcing Casey to stay. In another night class, Sensei takes Casey, Anna, Thomas, and Kenneth out for a motorcycle ride. Casey rides with Anna, and she approaches an undercover cop in a manner similar to how Casey was approached earlier. The police officer shoots Anna in the leg, and to prevent the situation from worsening, Casey, relying on his martial arts abilities, confronts the cop. Unfortunately, the confrontation takes a tragic turn, leading to the unintentional death of the officer as Casey accidentally slams his head against a fire hydrant. Sensei reprimands Anna for not checking if the man had a gun, similar to what happened to Casey during the mugging. Following this, Sensei tells Casey that he has earned a red stripe on his belt for taking a life, and he notes that Anna has received one too. Casey accompanies Anna home, and she shares with him her experiences from the early days at the dojo. She reveals that initially, she held back, thinking that they wouldn't take her seriously as a woman. Additionally, she discloses a disturbing incident where the former champion assaulted her in the dressing room, leading her to strangle him with his own belt in self-defense. Anna appreciates Casey's support in accompanying her home but strongly advises him against returning to the dojo. Casey, growing more worried, decides to revisit the dojo for further investigation. To his horror, he makes a shocking discovery: the dojo has a crematorium, and he comes across Henry's lifeless body hanging by his own belt. Among the discoveries are tapes, including one of Casey's own mugging. The recordings confirm that Sensei, Anna, and Thomas were the ones who attacked him, with Thomas being the person who knocked him out. It becomes evident that this was all part of Sensei's scheme to assist individuals like Casey in transforming their lives. After departing from the dojo, Casey notices the thug's pickup truck parked outside the grocery store. Driven by anger, he damages the truck by chopping off its left mirror and leaving a dent. Simultaneously, Sensei disposes of Henry's body in the crematorium. The next day, Casey directly confronts Sensei, expressing his clear intention to end Sensei's life. To incite Sensei, Casey deliberately uses Sensei's actual first name, Leslie. This is a response to Sensei's earlier mockery of Casey's seemingly feminine name. Casey exposes Sensei's unethical actions, revealing how Sensei blackmails former students into paying membership fees. In a daring move, Casey proposes a deadly duel, and Sensei, feeling assured of victory, agrees. As they gear up and prepare to face each other, the tension peaks. Suddenly, Casey changes the game and shoots Sensei in the head, concluding the confrontation. During the night class, Casey seizes control and leaves Sensei's body prominently displayed. He asserts that he employed the Grandmaster's supposedly exclusive technique to eliminate Sensei. Instructing the students to reveal their hands, he finds bite marks on Thomas's wrist, verifying that Thomas was behind the death of Casey's dog. Casey presents his well-trained German Shepherd, proficient in following commands in German. The dog lethally assaults Thomas. Casey grants Anna a black belt and designates her as the new leader of the dojo, pledging a more compassionate approach to martial arts. The movie concludes with Casey imparting knowledge to children.